Ladies and gentlemen, the rolling phone is here. The rolling screen, that is. And this is Oppo X 2021, the rollable phone. So this phone has been showcased in terms of a video that showcases the renders, I guess, the concept of a rollable screen. So you would have a similar design to the folding stuff, but with a difference that it doesn't add thickness when you're making the screen smaller. So the disadvantage with the foldable phones is that when you fold them up, you basically double the thickness and you have a very thick phone. With this, there's a tiny film, the screen itself just hides inside there when it's, I guess, collapsed, and when you expand it, you just add screen without sacrificing anything. You don't sacrifice in terms of thickness of the device. So this is a very interesting article because it cites that this phone is actually out there in people's hands. This does not mean that it's gonna be in every shop you see, but it means that they actually made it in terms of the testing units. Outside of the testing units, this device now actually exists. There is this saying that when a company is successful, they do not do as many outrageous or adventurous or new things. They lose their innovation because they worked out a formula that made them successful. So why change anything if you are so successful with what you do? That is especially the case when it comes to industries that have been untouched for many years, like the auto industry. And then all of a sudden, a company like Tesla, who they want to get into the market in a big way, they need to bring that special, unique something. And that something was an electric car. And Apple did that originally in 2007 when they brought the first ever iPhone. And someone needs to do that. And that someone is Oppo in this case. They're trying to get in there and make an impact by releasing a one-of-a-kind phone. And this is a double-edged sword in a way, because if you release a phone that is very outlandish and different than any other thing, you might be attracting a lot of people or detracting a lot of people who are no longer looking for this weird gadget. They are looking for a phone, and this does not look like a phone. Or it could be you're introducing so many disadvantages like reliability, or does this thing break easily? Is it sturdy? Is it water resistant? All of that stuff. Because the issue with the hinges, with the foldable stuff, was people, folded it, unfolded it 100 times, 200 times, 300 times, especially when you're paying so much for a device. You're thinking, oh, wow, this really needs to withstand the test of time. And when I see this, I'm like, this is a very thin screen that is unfolding. It looks really, really, really cool. It looks really amazing. But what if I twist it? What if it falls down when it's unfolded? What if, something gets in there? And, this is where you see that this is only a showcase. It's only to show you the excitement around technologies that might be coming in the future. But they definitely should be looking into how do you make this thing mainstream? Because right now it's just something to look at and be wowed at. But maybe in a few years we see that in other people's pockets. Maybe people actually prefer the normal phone instead of this. They don't have a use for expanding screens. But for me, when I look at this, if this was perfect, I would make the screen larger if I'm watching videos or something, and make the screen smaller when I'm just carrying it around any other place, or just answering phone calls, or just texting. Let me know what you think. Do you like this design? I mean, it's really, really unique, and it could be a sign for a new form factor that we didn't see before. Something that we have seen before is WhatsApp on the news because of the new policies. And here's a quick update by Reuters. WhatsApp to move ahead with privacy update despite backlash. Surprise, surprise. This was expected because I think I said this in the previous video, is that they delayed everything 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. People forget, and the backlash will not be as strong when the actual thing pops up. This article says that they will be giving users the reminder to read the policy, and they will not be kicking you out straight away. They'll give you like a period of time where you have to read, or they will remind you to read the terms of conditions, and then accept. And then I guess if you refuse to do that, then they would kick you out of WhatsApp. But yes, as expected, WhatsApp are moving ahead and doing this thing that is supposedly, from their side, only affecting businesses. So I guess they will be fetching data on how you use WhatsApp for business. If you talk to an account for like an internet provider support WhatsApp, you talk to them, they would track you then, understand how to help businesses. But people are saying, oh, that does not really seem like it's the case, because the terms of conditions, the way they changed, it said it included personal data, but it didn't specify what it was. Anyway, they're doing it. I don't know how much it will affect them. They're a big company. So many people use this thing that it's difficult to move everyone to a different platform, as I mentioned. So, but yeah, as expected, WhatsApp and Facebook are doing Facebook things. When I talked earlier, I mentioned Tesla and the new thing. And when you think electric vehicles, the first thing that shows up, at least in my head, is personal vehicles, small cars, 4 to 6 people, maybe even 8, and that's it. But there's this company that's called Arrival, and it's an electric bus maker that is aiming to replace traditional buses that run on petrol or diesel, and replace them with electric buses. And this is really interesting. First thing I look at when I read this article in The Guardian, the design is one of them. I don't know if both are electric, but one of them seems way more futuristic than the other one. So this company, Arrival, is supposedly gonna be producing 1,000 buses in 2022. That would scale up to 11,000 buses in 2024. And this raises some questions. First off is, can it handle range? Range in electric buses is vital, because buses normally take long routes. Are they gonna be able to maintain? And charging time, if it's long, you can't really stop a bus from moving. You need many buses to replace each other and have buses charging at the same time. And the other thing is, it's because it's a UK-based company, you need to source everything. You need to source batteries, you need to source, and in terms of batteries, they're buying it from LG. And it's an interesting idea that we don't really talk about in the mainstream. Public transport is kind of going electric in some way, but you don't really see the electric bus is the added bus and is the unique bus. Maybe one in few thousand is electric, and the reason is, I guess, is range. And if this company hopefully achieves their target with range and performance, if they put some actual high-tech stuff with regards to navigation, GPS, tracking, maybe even autonomous driving buses, maybe, we don't know. Electric everything is the future, and they have went public in the US stock market, and the market seems to be responding very well to them. So futuristic electric cars, maybe including buses as well, slowly maybe even go to airplanes, who knows. So we covered in a previous video how Google might be banned in Australia because of a simple thing that concerns the internet and advertising in the internet. So in Australia, according to this article by the BBC, 81% of all advertising on the internet is owned, the money goes to Facebook and Google. And the Australian government said, maybe you should pay some of this money to the publications in news, because they provide the clicks. Because you are just a platform, maybe you should give them a share. And both companies said, no, because of course no one wants to give away money. They would have to discuss it and take it to the courts, defend their wallets as much as they can. So the other company in question, Google, we talked about Google before. The other company, Facebook, pulled all their news websites from Facebook in Australia. So let's imagine the BBC was in Australia, or the ban was here in the UK. You don't have anything BBC related on Facebook, it's banned. So this has two consequences. One, every traditional news outlets, websites, and apps skyrocket. So if you were used to getting your news on Facebook from official sources, now you can't. You either have to migrate or look at other sources. So people who migrated boosted the downloads of these traditional media apps and websites. But the flip side is now you have this enormous vacuum of news. Someone needs to deliver it. Now you'll have a random bunch of people saying whatever they want in terms of news, and it would be very hard to check the reliability of that information since it's not official anymore. You banned all the official information on Facebook. So whoever's gonna stick with Facebook to get their news might not be getting the best news. So this is the humanitarian, I guess, the human side of the puzzle. But the business side of course is very important as well. So you need to figure out if Facebook are bringing the views to the news companies, or are the news companies bringing the views to Facebook? I guess it's a codependent thing where they both depend on each other. But if you ban everyone, now you think of other companies. What about Twitter? What about Google? That's a prime example right there. And what about other websites that use and then you would just be criticizing everything. But I guess for now, Facebook are battling with the Australian government, and the Prime Minister says he will not be intimidated by a tech giant. We'll see how that goes. So in the final piece of news today, we'll talk about Mars, and probably you've seen this around. It's Perserverance, NASA's rover, landed on Mars. And here are the pictures of Mars. And it looks like a desert. It looks like an empty space. I guess for us, not normal people who are not scientists, we don't know. We don't know what to think of this. We just see an empty place. When I'm studying engineering, I'm like, looking at the simplest things, just find a way to display the time. And it makes me appreciate how much effort and how much time and how many brains are working on these things to be able to fly a gadget that retrieves information, retrieves data, retrieves things from Earth. You send it to Mars and you still get pictures, you still get stuff back. And that's a really incredible feat in 2021. Mars rover. Maybe in a few years we'll talk about how the first human arrives on Mars and becomes the first Martian. But at least for now, we're still here on Earth, enjoying every second of it. And hopefully you enjoyed this quick news update. And I hope you have a fantastic day and a fantastic week. See you next week.